Okay, today we're going to paint a watermelon, but I'm going to start with a really quick little color theory. Many of you already know this, but refreshers never hurt, even for me. Our primary colors, blue, yellow, and red. We're using magenta, my three favorite colors that'll be listed below: golden acrylics, phthalo blue green shade, quinacridone magenta, and where did I put that tube? Benzimidazolone yellow medium. Then I also have white for tinting. You can paint this entire watermelon. You can paint anything with these three colors. So our primary colors are these three, and our secondary colors are what the primaries make. So what do blue, yellow make? Green. And then blue and red make purple, or violet, and yellow and red make orange. So these are, from what I was taught, these are the pure hues, the primary and the secondary colors. Now, a pure hue usually means like straight out of a tube. It's very energetic and bright and jumps out at you. So if you want to tone down the energy, make a color more neutralized, then you add its complement, also known as its opposite. So if a color is too green, add a little red, and that literally tones it down and makes it more towards a neutral. So if I were going to do the opposite of blue, it would be orange. But I need both of these to make orange, which is why we only have to use these three colors. So when you use all three, you mix a neutral. And you can have a semi-neutral. So all the tones that are in between are all the different percentages of one color or other. So ideally, if you mix three colors in equal parts, and sometimes it's hard to get exact, it's more of an art than a science, that is a neutral. And a neutral color, because I don't know why, there's some sciencey reason, it tends to recede in a painting. It makes it look like it has depth. And now let me show you what a neutral looks like right next to a pure hue. And this is all going to make sense. We're about to get started. Don't you worry. Let's see, let's make it orange. So look at this. Well, I didn't let it dry. But do you see how, you see how the pure hue comes forward and the neutral looks like, you know, like a dark hole. Okay, so I hope that made sense. Now we're going to paint our watermelon. So watermelons are fabulously organic and come in a million different varieties. So it's a very forgiving fruit to paint, and it's summertime and I love watermelons. So let's just take a look at that. So the reason I did the little color lesson is because if you're looking at this watermelon, this is the closest part to you. That's what you want to come forward, correct? So you want these parts, if you can see this, these parts to recede more. So we're gonna make these parts gradually more neutral and gradually closer to a pure hue out here to give it depth. Okay, so I usually like to draw with red. I think y'all know this. I don't think I've ever seen a perfectly round watermelon, so just make a, you know, loosey-goosey, watermelon-y shape. You know, be nice with yourself. And then I like to put the little stem, the little, I don't know what you call that thing. I like to put it a little on the low side. And then we might give it something to sit upon, a table maybe. Okay, so now here comes the fun part. These, I don't know what you call them. They're not stripes. That's not a watermelon. That is a mixtape that I want to put into a painting. So I printed, now I don't know where they are, but you guys have seen watermelons. They go from yellow to white, dark green to light green. And these things are very organic. But they do, so basically what I'm asking you to do. Now, you're gonna follow the shape of the watermelon, which sorta goes like this. This one right here will bend a little. And these are not set in stone, so don't freak out. Just loosely get some squiggle lines on there to represent your, and they don't be hard on yourself, because sometimes they're just a loose one over there. You do not have to be all perfect, but just to give you the general vague feeling. Okay, now what we're gonna do is mix a very neutral green. So take some blue, that's yellow, I do realize that, and some blue. And I want you to mix them up. Now this is a pure hue because I just used these two, right? So to tone it down, to make it more of a neutral, I'm adding a little bit of the red. Just a dot. And see how it's closer to a neutral, but it's still green. This is great green for way back here. So don't do all of it. And I like to use a flat brush for this because these edges get nice. And now, lazy me would want to go around and use the exact same green, which would make it flat and not interesting. So we're going to change the green up a little. Let's make it a little bit bluer, still a neutral, but just not the exact same color. Maybe add a little teeny bit of white, because there would be, you know, different light sources and different reflections, and maybe, you know what I mean? So just change your, and let it mix with the red a little bit. But you want your more neutral green to be towards the back to help it in the visual plane recede, to go back, if there's kids watching. Then keep changing the color. Like I'm gonna make it even bluer. Might even get a little purple. That's okay. I love it when you use, because sometimes, you know, like in nature, there are some, and maybe underneath it's gonna be even darker. Okay, so now as we start to come forward, and you wanna paint your watermelon kind of fast, because when we get the light parts in there, it's fun to blend it in. So now that we're a little more forward, we're gonna let it be a little closer to a pure hue. It's still neutral, and maybe we can add a little more white. So just make a color that is not quite as neutralized as this one, and see how it's already kind of feeling like it's coming forward. And remember, don't be lazy, change it up. I love doing kind of a, not a straight blue, but look at this. See how fun that is? And then maybe make it one a little purple, but make them less neutralized. Less neutral would be all three mixed equally. So maybe make one that's a little more yellow. And color mixing takes a little bit of practice. That's what we're doing. So be nice with yourself. Always be nice to your painting, because then, I don't know why, it's just better. Just to have a good attitude. Think about what you like about it. Don't get frustrated, because then you're not having fun. Then when you're not having fun, then you're not having fun. And isn't that the point of everything? I heard some firstborns disagree. Okay. So now as we get closer, I also like to make the little booby, the little stem place. I like to make that one a pure neutral, using all three colors equally. And then I put some highlights on it to really give it some contrast. So I'm gonna mix up all three perfectly so it almost looks black. This is what I use. I never use black paint. I don't know why I like to do that. And maybe while we've got this color out, there might be some really dark spots underneath where it hits the table. Okay, now back to as we get closer, this is the closest point to us. We want the colors to get even brighter. So you might want to clean off your brush. I'm gonna get a new brush so y'all don't have to watch me clean it. And keep making the colors. Always, for me personally, y'all can do whatever you want because the rules are, there are no rules. But for this exercise, I always use a little bit of all three colors. Like this green is much more heavy on the green, but it still has a dot of the red. And I'm gonna make it a little bit brighter. So do you see what I'm saying? It's getting closer to, it's not straight out of the tube, but it's getting closer to it as we get more forward in the painting. And I'm mixing it up and adding some, keeping the variety in there. Can you already kind of feel? Let's do a really yellow one. Because I think sometimes they do have a like big old blob of yellow in them. I like it when that happens. And let your brush strokes stay, you know what I mean? And if you feel like there's like too much of a transition, you know what I mean? Like it's really neutral and then it looks like it's not an organic transition, then sort of blend it up. Okay, now we're gonna come back in using a lot of these colors we've already mixed. I'm gonna wipe off that brush a little bit. I'm gonna use this totally neutral color and mix it with white to make sort of a luminous gray for the white on the back part of the watermelon. Because there would, and you know what? No, we don't see purple watermelons, but we might see purple shadows on an actual watermelon. And remember, don't get lazy. Don't do the same color all the way around. Keep mixing in different colors and add more white to tint it. I need to get more white on my palette. Oh, and I'm probably blocking this with the, hard to get all the angles. I'm learning a lot doing this YouTube channel, but I'm having fun. And I'm wondering, are you guys having fun? I'm hoping people are making art. We started doing this during the lockdown. I started teaching on Instagram, but they kept chopping off my, you know, like they cut off in the middle of class and it wasn't as user-friendly. And this way we can do long videos. And on YouTube, I never will have to charge. Hopefully we'll get advertisers and then my art classes will stay free, which I feel like benefits everybody. So I put more white out there. So keep making different neutrals with a lot of white and filling in between your squiggles, squaggles. I don't know, what do you call those things on a watermelon? Veins? And it's okay to use the same color, but just don't be too consistent. Because we're gonna go back and we're going to, but make sure the one, sorry, I didn't finish my sentence. My daughter says I never finish my sentences. And there's some truth to that. But just make sure the ones that are more neutral are out towards the edge. So like right here, this is looking a little too green. So I'm gonna put some red. You put its opposite and that tones it down right there. And we've already got, you know, some good variety. And underneath where it's really dark under here, it might be actually pretty dark. Mess around with it and see. I love watermelon. I like the look of watermelon. I don't love eating watermelon. If I eat too much of it, it makes me feel kind of yuck. But anyway, I was saying, I hope you guys are having fun. And if you are, please comment. Please subscribe so we can do more. But if you have any questions or requests, put them in the comments and we will address them. Okay, so you just keep putting variety in. I think it needs overall, to me, it needs to feel a little bit greener. So I like to go in and mix up a green that's pretty close to a pure hue. And you might need to get a new brush if you switch back and forth. So see how it already pops when you use. So it's like if you have restraint with pure hues and you hold back and you mix a lot of your things as a neutral, when you do use a bright color, it's set up like a jewel tone. You know, like in a beautiful Persian rug, it would have a lot of neutrals and then a jewel tone set in this neutral ground, and it really makes the colors pop. So I'm gonna make, let's see, I'm gonna make a dark green that's closer to a pure hue. I need to put more paint out. I go through paint, don't I? I feel like we need a little more. You can always add more bright color. I feel like it's easier to start on the restraint side. But I don't know if you can tell, restraint is not my strong suit. So if you kind of lose the definition, like I have lost a little bit of definition between my dark parts and my light parts, that's okay. Step back and look at it and be like, what does it need? If it needs a little more definition, then mix one that's closer to pure hue and go in there and give it some definition. It's easy to get frustrated with a painting and sit there and notice what you don't like. So try to switch over to, okay, what does it need? That puts you in like a forward momentum. Instead of going, I don't like this, go, okay, what does it need less of? Or what does it need in general? And then that'll help you be thinking about solutions instead of problems, which is expansive over contracting. I put more paint out here. I'm gonna get a clean brush. And if you don't have 800 million brushes, oops, like I do, then keep your water nearby and you can wash your brush. Whatever you do, do not have a brush with paint on it and just set it aside, because it'll dry up so fast and then your brush is toast. Okay, here's the watermelon again. So I do think that there are some highlight parts on, on this one, at least on the top. If you don't know the light source, I was always taught that it's upper left. I don't know why. So sometimes I'll just take straight white because the paint is still wet and get in here and look what this does. And then, it like mixes with what's already sitting on the canvas. And that's kind of fun. I like to do a little squiggle side to side motion. If everybody knows what these things are called, are they stripes of a watermelon? Are they veins? Are they just, maybe they don't have a name. But you know what I was talking about yesterday? How many amazing names there are for groups of animals. Did you know, my daughter told me that a whole bunch of crows is called a murder of crows. And a gaggle of geese. There's some other excellent ones, but I forgot. Okay, so I think this area here needs a little more definition. So I'm gonna put some white in there. And then maybe I'm gonna do, I think it needs some yellow. Like the whole thing's looking too purpley to me. And then I think right in here, it needs some definition. So I'm gonna make a very rich, pure, more close to pure hue green. And this is where you might want to clean your brush. Ooh, I love when that phthalo blue gets in there towards the end. Okay, now I also like, this is kind of fun. I like to take just a little bit of either bright red or bright yellow or both and draw a little, not the full circle, just like a little highlight, because it really draws your eye to the beginning, you know, the front side of that. And then to ground it, get the flattest brush you've got. I need to wash mine. Maybe like a flat angled or a really flat brush, and take that, take all three colors, make yourself a neutral, as neutral as you can get. I don't mind if it's a little blue, because that blue is so heavy. And then make a shadow. And the shadow might go behind the watermelon just a little bit. I guess this is assuming the light source is straight above, maybe a sunshine. And then I might add just a touch of white, because the shadow is going to be a little lighter further out towards the edges. And it's not a pointy watermelon, so it's going to be sort of a round shadow. And then I like to give the table a color. That it's sitting upon. Okay, that's too close to the shadow color. That got boring. See how that happened? So I'm going to put a little more yellow in there. But I don't want it to get too close to the watermelon color either. See what happens. I want the table to be pretty neutral, because I like the focus to be on our star fruit. You can sort of trim a shadow this way. And then you can still come in and put some bright green. I don't know how fast I might do it. Excuse me, that was a cough, not a sneeze. People frequently say God bless you to me when I cough. I think my cough sounds like a sneeze. Not that that was relevant to anything at all. My little ADD brain just had a little moment. So I like to put some pure hue right near the front. See how it kind of brings it forward? Now, it is possible that you guys at home feel like, ugh, I don't like my, I gotta get ready to go to Pilates, that you are not happy with your watermelon. I want you to step away from it and don't look at it until tomorrow, because I bet your watermelon looks good. And I bet if somebody walked in your house, they'd be like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. So if you do a background color, just go easy not to give it too much of a perfect edge, because it'll make it look kind of cut out. If you do a background color, have a little bit of it reflect off of your watermelon. I hope y'all have fun. Please subscribe. I am going to take this off so you can see a little better. Thank you for joining me. Have a great day.